Pharmacy residency and what I would do differently. Today, I want to share with you 5 things that I wish I could go back in time and do differently for my pharmacy residency. If you've never seen a video from me before, I'm Alex. I'm a career coach and founder at the Happy PharmD, where we help pharmacists get jobs they love through career coaching and education in pharmacy. So if you like this kind of content, hit subscribe to get more in your feed to help you with your pharmacy career and ultimately create something that you're very proud of and happy with. There's 5 things that I thought about that I wish I could go back in time and do differently. And the first one is I wish I networked more. Networking is one of those sleazy things that I think people hate doing, and they don't know how to do it. And they don't teach you this stuff in pharmacy school. They teach you hard skills, technical skills. How do you do things? How do you watch out for side effects? How do you make recommendations? How do you do a soap note? All of these weird things that you have to do in your job, but they don't teach you necessarily how to communicate these things. And one of the so important facts about life is that job referrals, so people recommending you for a job, is the #1 most popular way that people get jobs in the world. And it's been this way for decades. I wish that at least once a week I tried to have lunch with one of my preceptors or one of the pharmacists on staff, or meeting just new people and learning new things. I spent a lot of my lunches in my cubicle, hanging out with the other residents, and just not really engaging very much with other people. I was very focused at the time, and I admittedly didn't really know how to network. Like, I was game to meet new people, but I wasn't like going out of my way to do that. As a entrepreneur focused on career coaching, I meet new people every week. I network with others. I meet people in various industries, and I learn a ton through the process. And also, I'm able to help them. I've been able to meet so many cool people over the years. I just wish I had started that habit sooner. The easiest thing that you can do to get started networking is with your facility. Meet the other pharmacists and ask them if they're about to go to lunch the next time that you do, and just hang out, talk with them, get to know them. Where did they go to school? Did they do a residency? How do they like their job? What do they don't like about things? Are they looking for a new job? That's a little bit poignant, but you can ask so many things and learn so many interesting things from people, and it's worth doing so. Then you can eventually graduate to meet people outside of your organization and have phone call meetings or Zoom meetings over lunch, find about new and interesting opportunities that you otherwise wouldn't have. Networking is so powerful, and the earlier you start, the more likely it is that you'll be given opportunities from others for new and interesting, cool pharmacy jobs.
Wow.
If you need some resources on how to network, what to say to people, template things, LinkedIn resources, you can check some links below where we have a ton of free information about how to improve in all of those areas. Check them out. I like them. I think I created most of these resources. The second thing I wish I did so much more of was publishing. You do not need to be a licensed practiced pharmacist with tons of years of experience to get started with publishing. You can be a student and you can publish information. Those who write, those who speak, those who teach others often lead the wave of the future. You may as well get started now and brush up on this skill, because if you can influence others through what you write, you can influence your life that much better. Admittedly, I'm not a great writer, but I know enough now to get what I want out of life. But if I was starting all over again, I would have reached out to the local state pharmacists association and asked to see if I could publish something. And it can just be about your experience. Here's what my life is like in the day as a pharmacy resident. Other students want to know what your experience like. You could write about, here's what it's like going from, California to New York as a pharmacist. Here's the different things that I've noticed or seen. You don't have to do a ton of research to publish an article. And you can volunteer to do this. By getting started on this, you impact your career in such a huge way, because you're publicly saying things about yourself or about the workplace or about pharmacy practice. And that makes you be introduced to a wide range of new people who could find your work really interesting and compelling, and maybe even want to reach out to you to network with you, to find out, hey, maybe you could help them out with a research project or a writing project. Or even more, you could get paid to write. Writing in today's world is a valuable job, and there are an infinite amount of courses that talk about how to get started writing. I would recommend my very own that talks about medical writing and how to get started. I'll put a link to that below, and we'll slap a, 50% coupon on it, just because I could do that, because I run my own business. I run my own life. I do what I want. The next thing I would do differently is ask for better feedback. You see, what happens in these rotations sometimes is that you get feedback maybe halfway through and then at the end. And it is hyper specific to the preceptor. Sometimes the feedback is really good and sometimes it's not. But specifically what I would have done differently is whenever I got constructive feedback or negative feedback on something, I wish I would have asked for something specific to happen the following week and immediately asked for feedback after I had done that activity. I remember doing, diabetic patient counseling and creating up like different insulin regimens. And my preceptor gave me feedback halfway through the rotation. And then I kind of went into the next week without really thinking about that feedback. And I remember getting the same feedback at the end of that rotation. I don't remember what it was, but now that I run my own company and I have a team of people, like I understand now that the way to give feedback is on something hyper specific, providing guidance on exactly what to do next, and then following up like the next week to ensure that my team is doing whatever it was differently. I wish I would have done that so that I would have improved that much faster, because I actually was able to request more ambulatory care practice experience in my residency. And I was able to go do that work more consistently because of it, but I would have learned that much faster had I got feedback more often and regularly. The fourth thing I wish I did differently was to ask for less of what I disliked. I was asked to do a few different types of activities throughout my experience in my residency, and I didn't find out until about 6 months in that I could have told my residency director that I really didn't like this extra experience I was getting. When I found that out, I was like, you mean I spent all this time working on this project and I didn't even have to do it? I was like, oh, what? Why wouldn't you tell me that? I wanted to know earlier. I remember getting so frustrated, just because like not everything you do in a residency is always required. There are certain things and criteria that you have to do because a lot of residency programs are certified and there's a process for that. And the governing body demands that residencies require certain experiences in order to be certified. So I wish, knowing that from the very beginning, I would have had a discussion with my residency director to say, is there anything on my plan here that is absolutely required? Are there things that are flexible? Are there things that I could do that maybe I could try other things or go into other areas? Because I was wanting to go into the AmCare route at the time, I would have asked for less community practice experiences. I had a lot more in my residency than what I wish I had. Knowing that halfway through, I would have gone back and said, hey, let's just do all AmCare for the rest of my time. Had I known that I could have done community practice less in my residency experience, I would have from the very beginning jam-packed it with as much AmCare experience as possible. But because I didn't find out halfway through, I kind of had to find some experiences. I actually went outside of my organization to find a preceptor who was able to precept me and give me the experience that I wanted for the future. And it was a great experience. I'm so glad I was able to do that. And now for the final thing that I wish I did differently in my residency. I wish I did more of the work that I love. You know, sometimes we go through our careers and we really don't reflect on the moments of joy that we get when you work. You just like, you kind of downplay it. You're like, oh, that's just me. Whatever, I'm just doing my job. But there's small moments that happen that are really influential. And in my residency, I was asked to teach a class to, I believe, P2s about over-the-counter acne medications. And I really didn't think a whole lot of it, but when I prepared for that lecture, I was engrossed. I loved it. I prepared for it, and I was so creative. I was just like really present in those moments. I really loved this experience because I did a role-playing exercise for the students to do, and I had them act it out, and then I had them all do it. But the acting was the best part because I had them follow a script, and there was two roles. One was the pharmacist and one was the patient. And the patient was young, like in their I think they were like 19 or something. And then the pharmacist was, obviously a pharmacist, aged appropriately. And I had the patient have a crush on the pharmacist. And like I had these two students play these roles, and it was just so much fun because I put in these lines for the patient to like, try to like hit on her in a cute way, not like in a gross way, but it was just so fun. I had the class laughing, and I was just so engaged in that moment. I felt like I was on top of the world. I was so enjoying, even though I didn't care at all about the subject. I didn't care about acne medications. I didn't care about these things, but I loved the work. And if you've ever had those kinds of moments as a student, take note of them. If you've ever felt like you were on top of the world, you loved the work, you were so engrossed in it that you want to do more of it, those are signposts along the journey that is your career. And you can take those moments and find them in career paths. You can find them in certain jobs and settings, because if you do more work like that, you will love your career. Had I known what I loved earlier, I would have asked for more experiences like that. I would have requested my director say, could I please take every teaching opportunity possible? So those were the 5 things that I would have done differently for my residency. If you are a resident or you're a past resident, what would you do differently? And if you're a student, what questions do you have about your residency program? Or if you're thinking about residency, I'd love to know those questions as well. Please feel free to write them below. Did you like my tips and comments? Please let me know by hitting that like button, like your life depends on it. Please help me beat the YouTube algorithm. It's like some destructive robot from Terminator. I mean, it's killing me. Thank you for watching this video on our channel. I so appreciate you. And until I see you in the next video, take care.